from Sandra Drake, Professor Emerita of English and African American Studies.
Thank you for coming. It's an honor to be part of this speaker's lineup and to address this concerned audience. I've been around here for a long time. I was actually part of the April 3rd movement, so it's good to see a continuation of this. Although I'm sorry for the necessity. I've been asked to explain why I signed the Stanford University Community Petition urging that high officials of the U.S. government, including our former provost Condoleezza Rice, be held accountable for any serious violations of the law. I signed it because I am opposed to torture. Once I wouldn't have thought it necessary to explain why I oppose torture, but our communal and public discourse has degenerated to the point where some people defend it, so I think I'd better do so. I'm opposed to torture because it is based upon a perversion of empathy. Empathy is the capacity to know and experience psychologically and physiologically what another is experiencing. A lot of very interesting neuropsychological research is going on now on the physical basis of empathy. The capacity for empathy is the basis for establishing a cooperative and compassionate society, which is the kind of society I am committed to building. Empathy, the capacity to know and experience psychologically and physiologically what another is experiencing, is also the basis of torture. A whole area of psychology has been built up around the use of empathy in torture. When empathy, this capacity, is perverted so it is used to inflict pain and suffering, torture, it attacks other beings in the place of our greatest commonalities of experience, in the place of our greatest vulnerabilities. When one person threatens another with the infliction of our greatest terrors, our own death and the death of those we love, excruciating physical pain and psychological pain through humiliation of ourselves and those we love, it is an offense to many religious and secular ethical traditions, and I would argue a threat to the survival of the world. No one of any nationality or for any cause can waterboard people, deprive people of sleep, hang people from the ceiling by the arms for long periods of time, threaten to rape their mothers and their little girls and kill their little boys in front of them without threatening our survival as a species. The infliction of the wound of torture damages first the tortured. It damages second the torturers. And in damaging tortured and torturers, who are all members of society, it savages the human ability to build the just and compassionate and cooperative society I mentioned earlier. Our U.S. torturers leave behind in the societies they attack tortured people crippled in their ability to create their own healthy communities. And the torturers come home to attack the U.S. communities in which they live. We have all seen reports of domestic violence, murder, and their own psychological collapse. I refer you to Frantz Fanon's classic book, The Wretched of the Earth, and specifically to his psychological case histories included therein, collected during his participation in the Algerian War of Independence against the French. These are the reasons I oppose torture. International laws and treaties have established standards of acceptable human behavior for everyone, of all nations and parties, even in conditions of the most extreme human stress. After all, these are the conditions when one needs such standards. The conditions cannot be used as an excuse for jettisoning them. These standards, laws, and treaties are among the proudest of human achievements. They are very recent in human history. They have been established with enormous difficulty. They are extremely fragile. Any assault upon them is, in my view, a terrible crime. I signed the petition because I think the evidence implicating Condoleezza Rice as an intellectual author of the torture committed by the U.S. government is strong enough to bring her to legal account. And I further think that Stanford University should suspend her from the faculty until the conclusion of reliable legal proceedings. If she is not acquitted, I think that the university university should terminate her employment. It gives me no pleasure to say this. I have an association with this university extending over half my life, and an association with programs in which Condoleezza Rice has participated extending over a quarter of a century. But society has an obligation to the tortured. The tortured have a right to reparations, including the right to a trial of those they hold responsible, and, upon their conviction, to a public disavowal, at the very least, of the behavior of those who tortured them. And society has an obligation to itself. If perpetrators of torture are not held to account, others will be encouraged, now and in future, in our country and around the world, to believe they can engage in torture with impunity. That's why I signed the petition. Thank you.